Hello, welcome to the 6th episode of Ask the Gov. I'm Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds, and I look forward to answering your questions today. So let's go ahead and get started. Our first question comes from Keith in Des Moines, and Keith asked via Facebook, your trip to Southeast Asia could be very important to Iowa. What are your short-term and long-term goals for the trip? Thank you, Keith, for that question. Well, I think as most of you know, originally Governor Branstad was scheduled to go on the trade mission that leaves on June 6th to South Korea and China, and I was scheduled to lead a trade mission in September. But because we're still in the middle of budget negotiations, the governor feels that it's important for him to stay here and to continue to work with both the House and the Senate to meet the needs of Iowans and to wrap up the budget. So I'm very honored to have the opportunity to be participating in the trade mission trip. Short term, really it's an opportunity to build relationships and to network and really look for and identify opportunities for increased trade for Iowa. There's a lot of opportunity in South Korea and China, and it's a great opportunity for us to make those connections, network with businesses and governmental leaders, and start that process. China is one of the top importers of Iowa soybeans, and exporting generates millions of dollars annually, not only for Iowa, but it allows Iowa businesses and companies to expand operations and really create additional quality jobs. The long term that we've been working on is the governor, I think you're aware of, with 25 other governors across the nation, recently sent a letter to Congress and to President Obama asking them to finalize the free trade agreement with South Korea, Panama, and Colombia. And by doing this, again, provides great opportunity for Iowa businesses. For every $1 billion increase in trade, that equates to 7,000 jobs for Iowa. So tremendous opportunity there, tremendous growth market, and Iowa is really poised to take advantage of that, and that's the long-term goals. Our second question comes from Jack in Dubuque, and Jack sent this via email, and his question is, why is 0% allowable growth necessary? Well, currently education gets 60% of the budget. In addition to that, Medicaid gets 25% of the budget. So that leaves about 15% for everything else. With the shortfall that we dealt with the budget that we were presented with this year, we were looking at originally about a $900 million shortfall. So there's no way when you're trying to present an honest, balanced budget that every component of the budget would not be impacted. Governor Branstad and I are committed to providing Iowans youth with a world-class education system. And in addition to that, what that means is that we will honor the commitments that have been made from the state. Previously, school districts across the state received a 1.5% across the board cut, a 10% across the board cut, and then what they were promised wasn't funded last year from the state. We will provide predictability and stability by fully funding what the state promised. So the school districts across the state of Iowa will be receiving an additional $250 million this year that they hadn't received last year because prior administration didn't fully fund their obligation, and we are committed to doing that. In addition, part of the plan that the governor and I have put forward is to reduce the commercial property taxes on businesses across the state of Iowa, especially those on Main Street. And we believe that by doing that and by providing a budget that's austere and where ongoing revenue is meets or matches ongoing expenditures, and if we can create an environment that is conducive to job growth through our commercial property tax reduction, that will expand businesses, it will grow the economy, and that will provide additional income and revenue for education. We also believe that providing a 2-year budget does exactly what it should, and that is it provides predictability and stability for the education system so they'll know the dollars that they will be receiving from the state. Well, the third and final question comes from Principal Keith Fritz of Northwood, Iowa via Twitter. And Principal Fritz asked, what do you see happening in the next 12 months with the Iowa core curriculum mandate for schools? As you know, we've talked a lot about the Education Summit that will be held this summer in Des Moines to really talk about these sorts of issues and really identify how we can again restore Iowa to their leadership position in education and provide a world-class education for our students of Iowa so we can ensure that they are able to compete globally in a global environment. The summit's scheduled to be held July 25th and 26th, and you can go online to at governor.iowa.gov, and you can get all the information about the Iowa Summit, and you can also register to participate in it. We've had a lot of interest from across the state. I think originally we had the capability of for 1,300 people, and we've been able to add additional seats, and so we're looking at about 1,600 participants for the summit, so we're really excited about that. We've also, Governor Branstad and I have chosen a dynamic leader in Jason Glass to lead the Department of Education. He is a real innovator and brings a great deal of experience and knowledge to the Department of Education. And I think we can all agree that throwing money at a problem is not the answer for our schools, and it's not going to solve the problems. We have some of the best teachers in this country, in the state of Iowa, and we want to work with them and really do what we can to help them teach our students. We think that we want to see school funding tied to student performance. We believe that we need to set, rigorous state standards, and then we need to have a strong matching assessment piece so we can measure those standards and make sure that teachers are held accountable, and so we can honor teachers that are doing a good job and help teachers that maybe identify some areas that they can do better. We believe that the state needs to get out of the business of mandating the core curriculum to local school districts and to let our teachers teach, but to really still utilize that as a base and try to incorporate that into maybe the 21st century method of teaching our children. We want to make sure that we have teachers that are prepared and principals that are ready to lead and to play a leadership role in school districts. We want to, again, talk about having rigorous state standards in addition to strong matching assessments so we can measure students. We understand that kids come to school at all different levels and ready of learning capability, but we can score them at the beginning and then throughout the session so we can monitor throughout the year so we can monitor their improvement. We look forward to the Educational Summit. Again, we've had a lot of interest in it, and we hope to see educators from across Iowa attend the summit. We're going to live stream some of it. We're going to be holding town halls prior to the summit, so we're going to do everything that we can to reach out to Iowans and moms and dads and teachers and principals and businesses and higher education across the state to ask them to be a part of really identifying and reforming and changing Iowa's school system so we're again leading the nation with Iowa's education. Well, thank you again for joining Ask the Gov. It's been a real pleasure for me to have the opportunity to sit in place of the governor for this week. We appreciate the opportunity to answer your questions. The governor will be back next week for Ask the Gov. So be sure through Twitter and email, take the opportunity to reach out to our administration and ask those questions that are important to you. Thanks.